Two headlines, one reality. My thoughts. Over the last couple of days, we've seen two newspaper stories about Doncaster Sheffield Airport. One claims the airport is running out of money. The other suggests that public confidence is at risk and that support for the reopening is ebbing away. I think both stories raise perfectly reasonable questions, but I also think it's important to separate fact from opinion. So let's start with what we know. The reopening of Doncaster Sheffield Airport is a major publicly funded project. Scrutiny is absolutely right. Taxpayers deserve to know that public money is being spent properly and that the agreed conditions for future funding are being met. The lease negotiations have taken longer than many people expected. That's a fact. But does that mean the airport's running out of money? Not really, no. The airport isn't operating commercial passenger flights yet, so it isn't generating income needed to fund itself. That's always been the plan though. The current funding has been paying for recruitment, training, infrastructure improvements, specialist equipment, regulatory work with the Civil Aviation Authority, and everything else needed before the airport can reopen. That money was always meant to be spent. The real issue here is whether the lease negotiations are completed on terms acceptable to the South Yorkshire Mayoral Combined Authority, SIMCA, allowing the next planned stage of funding to be released. That's an important milestone, but it's not the same as suggesting that the project is about to collapse. The second story goes further by claiming that public confidence is ebbing away. Again, where's the evidence? The article doesn't quote opinion polls, business surveys or public consultations. It doesn't quote any results to support that claim. And from what I see every day, there's a different picture. The hashtag SaveDSA Facebook group continues to grow week after week. People are still joining. Discussions remain active. Posts receive thousands of views, remain active, and comments and engagement remains consistently high. That doesn't prove everyone supports the project, but it certainly doesn't support the suggestion that interest or public confidence is simply ebbing away. It's also worth remembering what has happened while the lease negotiations have continued. We've seen recruitment across the airport, fire and rescue teams being built, air traffic services, infrastructure improvements, regulatory work with the CAA, aircraft movements returning, businesses engaging with supply chain opportunities last week. Those are visible signs of progress. None of this means we shouldn't ask questions. We should. I've always said that if public money is being invested, it should be scrutinised. That's healthy. But scrutiny should be based on evidence, not assumptions or opinions. Unless there is evidence that the lease negotiation have broken down, or the reopening programme has fundamentally changed, the facts remain that work is continuing and the project is moving towards its next major milestone. I have one question. One of these articles was written using information supplied to the newspaper. It was leaked to them. It was a confidential briefing from council officers with local councillors. And somebody's gone running off to tell the press what they've heard, what they've been told. Why? Why do that? What are they to gain? Now, we saw earlier on this year when the lease was leaked, again, didn't really achieve anything. Slowed things down, caused disruption, caused division. But eventually, even though they were going to remove the loan, the funding for the airport, eventually they all voted for it again. didn't achieve anything. The project continued. Leaking this information, is it going to achieve anything? Probably not, because the people down at the airport have been employed to get the airport open, and that's what they're doing. As always, I'll continue to report the good news. I do ask difficult questions when they're needed, and I keep sharing factual updates as they become available. And that's what it's all been about with #SaveDSA. It's what the campaign has always been about. Facts over headlines, facts over speculation. People's opinions, we've all got them, but perhaps we don't really need to hear them. #SaveDSA. Thanks everybody.